Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're here with a toxic rain build guide. I'm really sorry guys, it took ages to get out because my god, there's a lot been going on, and yeah, let's get right into it. So, yeah, a quick disclaimer I want to talk about is that I made a video on how to craft a endgame toxic rain bow. Now, I'm not using that bow because I only found out how to craft it after I made my current bow. So just watch that video on how to make the endgame bow if you're interested in that. Anyway, so let's get straight into this build guide. We're going to cover the gear, then the gem links, and then the tree, and explain the tree, and the flask will also be covered in the gear, just to let you know. And yeah, it'll be pretty good. So, first off, we have the bow. Now, I actually did get a synthesized implicit one that has the bow attacks 5 additional arrow. Because I think it's a really good implicit, and you can get +1 socketed support gems as well. And yeah, I did make a mistake crafting this bow, and then to remake it, I have to spend a lot of currency. So I wasn't really interested because it's kind of done with the build at that point. But yeah, this is like almost as good as the one that I teach you in the video, but it's just not ideal because yeah, you just don't get the double multi. So I mean, you do, but it's not like higher values. So yeah, as you can see, I even settled for T2 multi on the explicit, like the non-craft, because I was just spamming essences for ages, got really unlucky. So I just settled for T2 when I got it because I kept getting T2 but not T1 even though the weighting was the same. So it was pretty unlucky. But yeah, that is pretty much it for the bow. It's basically carried me through the entire endgame. So this bow, I mean, it costs you around 30x to make, especially if you get unlucky. Maybe a bit more as well because the base is like 12x on its own, and then you spend about 20x spamming essences. And if you get unlucky, you might spend more. But yeah, the bow that you can use if you're on a tight budget is, let me find it, is this bow. So this bow is pretty good. It will carry you through the entire game. You do not need anything else. You can like do all content with this bow, and it's really cheap. You can find these for like 4 to 5x, even less than that, some places. And do not go for Imperial Bow if you can help it. If you can afford it, go for Thicket Bow because it has higher attack rate. It feels smoother to play with, unless the Imperial Bow has T1 attack speed and the Thicket doesn't. Then it kind of evens out. So make sure you guys go for high attack speed, go for plus secret gems, and then the dot multi as well. So you have two options. You can go for +2 level of socketed bow gems or +2 support gems. So choose which one you are able to go with. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Really cheap bow. And even this, like I haven't been able to sell this bow, even though it's like half decent at 5x. I don't know. It's probably worth even less than that. I don't even know the price of it. So yeah. Next up, we have Ascendancy. Ascendancy is a really insane helmet. It allows you to basically not have to run a cast when damage taken. You have Carling Strike for free. And yeah, you get a free curse on hit as well. You don't need curse on hit on your ring. And you get to use the really high level curse with quality, which is really powerful. And then yeah, I'll show you about that later in the gem links section. Next up, we have the quiver. Now, to make this quiver, it's super easy, but you have to get lucky as well. Now, this quiver is kind of trash, right? Like, it's genuinely not that good. And all I did to make this was spam aberrant fossils. Now, if you're willing to spend a lot of aberrant fossils, then yeah, you just want to spam until you hit double T1 on the damage over time, chaos damage over time, and you hit high life. But this can take you like a lot of aberrants just to keep you in mind. So yeah, that is just something to keep in mind. And also attack speed is very desirable too if you can get it on the quiver. I crafted max mana because there was genuinely nothing else to craft, unfortunately. Quiver prefixes are just atrocious in terms of what you can craft on it. So yeah. Next up we have the amulet. It's really good. And this is also super easy to make. Even though it looks like a bit insane, it's not that insane. So what you want to do to make this amulet, you want to get a amber amulet because you really need strength on this build, and you want to quality up, and you make sure it's hunter as well. Quality up to 20% on the chaos damage modifiers, and then you want to spam a Reforge Chaos in Harvest, and eventually you'll hit something like this. Now, as you can see, it doesn't have life, so it's not super ideal. And the Giga ideal amulet would be +1 Chaos, +1 Dex Gems amulet, or yeah, +1 Chaos, +1 Dex, pretty much. And with life and non-channeling, you need to make sure you can fit non-channeling, guys. This is very, very important on this build. And I'll show you, you know, what depths we go to get 0 mana cost on Toxic Rain, which is super important for running as many auras as we do. So, yeah. Next up, we have this ring. So this ring is, you know, it doesn't really, you don't need +2 socket gems on the ring. Of course, it's kind of troll, but yeah, this has got loads of life, resist, and I needed the slot. I mean, I desired the slot for portal, so that's why I got unset ring. But if you don't care about portal skill gem, then you can ditch the unset and go for a normal ring. But this ring was a little bit expensive because it was an unset ring. And then obviously non-channeling. Now, if you're really struggling with non-channeling and you can't afford to get non-channeling on the other ways that I'll tell you afterwards, like on the Watcher's Eye and Replica Conqueror's Efficiency, then you want to also quality these with life and mana modifiers instead, and that will make it so you get to -8 total mana cost on all of them. And then here, this is where you want to get your stats. Like, you can spread it out between the rings if you want, but because I went unset ring, it was very hard to get one with stats as well as resist. But yeah, you need to make sure you get huge stats on one. Loads of strength, loads of int, because you really need it on this build. And yeah, like, it's really, really important. Okay, next up we have a Breath Stealer. Now, Breath Stealer is my favorite gloves, guys. It is basically like a headhunter for gloves. It's ATC or something really stupidly cheap like that, and it's absolutely insane, especially for this league. Like, I would say if you could fit it in your build this league, it is just a no-brainer. Basically, it spawn these pods when you kill a rare monster that give you auras that the monster had, and it's basically like a headhunter, right? Like, you're just getting auras for free pretty much. And yeah, in an ultimatum, there's so many rares, so you're constantly getting loads of auras, and you're basically almost unkillable in an ultimatum with these gloves. It feels really, really good, especially if you're already tanky like we are on this build. You are just turbo unkillable with these gloves. So yeah. Now, you will notice I'm running a lot of uniques. You can replace the uniques if you feel like you're too squishy, and even if you want to go so far to ditch, you know, if you're on hardcore or something, you can ditch Kintsugi. Even though Kintsugi is still a really good armor, you can ditch it and put a Calm's Heart, and your health would improve exponentially because we have a lot of life on the tree. So just keep that in mind. And also, these gloves, another thing, to top off all the insanity already, you can anoint on them as well. So this allows you to get 2 anoints, which is super duper insane. So yeah, next up we have a String of Servitude with res and skill effect duration. Now, I got this spell for about 3x, and I think that's the actual price for it. But just to give a warning, there's a very small amount on the market. There's like 1 or 2 others for these rolls, and just be careful because this is double max roll. And the reason we use this, and you know, this isn't that essential, but it is like really insane because skill effect duration is really important on this build, and basically keeps the pods lingering on the floor for a really long time. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay guys, next off we're gonna go to the Zeri Step. Zeri Step is you know, it's pretty good. Now, it's really hard to beat this just because of the spell dodge. Now, you can get a rare armor. I'm pretty sure if you get elevated, sorry, not elevated, if you were to get a unveil, I believe, on a body armor, you can get 15% spell dodge as well. So if you were to use like a rare body armor, then maybe you could ditch these and use something else. But overall, I mean, you can just use a rare, but you won't be capped spell dodge anymore. So I personally think that spell dodge is really important, more important than attack dodge, because spells are way more used in this game than attacks, it feels like. And for attacks, we've already got Captivate chance anyway, so our chances of getting hit by an attack is very, very low in compared to getting hit by a spell. So I would definitely prioritize spell dodge anywhere you can over attack dodge, but we basically passively get attack dodge capped anyway, because you get a bit more than spell dodge on the tree. If you see here, you can see that you get attack dodge, attack dodge, attack dodge on all three of these small points. I don't know why it's like that, but yeah, I mean, it's easier to get cap dodge because of that on the tree. So yeah, so that's pretty much all the gear explained, and I will go on to the flask quickly. So we're running an anti-curse basalt. Now you're probably wondering why are you running a basalt flask, you know? So we have no phase damage reduction on this build at all, apart from the endurance charges we get from overcharge on the tree over here. So we get endurance charges pretty much in mapping, but in boss fights we don't have endurance charges. So it's kind of important. Next off we have Eternal Life Flask of Anti-Bleed. Now this Life Flask kind of, I mean, you never really get bled anyway, and when you do, you barely take any damage because of the less damage taken if you haven't been hit recently. So you basically don't need anti-bleed, but you do need corrupted blood immunity. So just keep that in mind too. And instant flask is really, really nice. So make sure you try and get bubbling if you can. But you don't really need anti-bleed if you want to use something else. Dying Sun is very, very essential for this build, guys. It's you know, kind of non-negotiable. You have to get this. So I went for a minimum AoE roll because I don't like AoE on Toxic Rain anymore, because it spreads the pods out too much, and getting minimum AoE feels way better for bossing anyway. So that's what I did. Quicksilver Adrenaline, pretty standard, and then Bottled Faith. Now you don't, obviously you don't need Bottled Faith, guys, and I wouldn't say to swap to Bottled Faith until you have Brush with Death on both of your clusters. This will make it so you get life on kill, and you just use Cinder Swallow in that time. And then once you get Cinder Swallow, you can, once you get those clusters, you can switch out Cinder Swallow for Bottled Faith or another flask of your choice. But the only reason we use Bottled Faith, obviously it's not for the crit, it's for the second thing on there that says Conk Ground, created during effect, applies 9% increased damage taken to enemies. This is an overall damage multiplier. Any build can have this benefit, whether you're crit or not. And Conk Ground gives you 6% health regen, which is super huge for regen. And it also gives, 40% increased damage as the implicit of the flask. So that is the flask explained. Now we'll go into the skill gems. So we went for a Anomalous Toxic Rain. Now Phantasmal is the best if you want the maximum damage, but Anomalous is still pretty good if you're on a bit of more of a budget. So I think this cost me about 5 exalts, and the Phantasmal one is like 35 exalts. So in my opinion, this is just way better. So this skill effect duration is the quality bonus, and it's way better than the default one, because the default one gives you AoE, and that is actually kind of bad now, so I don't really want that. So Anomalous Toxic Rain is super good, and I would really recommend it. Okay, next up we have Awakened Avoid Manipulation. As you can see, it's getting 3 levels from the item, which is really insane. But yeah, this is just a really good support gem. There's not really much to say there. Like, something you have to realize about Chaos support gems is not that much variety. The only one that we don't use is Efficacy, and that's because Swift Affliction feels way better. So I'll explain that in a second. Awaken Vicious Projectiles. Look at that, gem level 8. It's so insane. But yeah, it's too good, guys. These support gems are too good. Now we use Anomalous Mirage Archer. So if you want, you can use the other quality. I can't remember the exact one. It might be Divergent or Phantasmal. I'm not sure. But there's one that gives you 20% skill effect duration to supported skills, which is also super good. So it's choice between that and this. So you guys decide. But this one makes it so that the Mirage Archer fires 2 additional projectiles. And we don't care about the duration because we're not a Deadeye. So Mirage Archer is pretty much there whenever we fire. So it doesn't matter. They're not going to disappear on us. Unless we don't like shoot for a while. So this is like so insane, guys. I would recommend Anomalous. It's super fun as well. Next up we have Awaken Swift Affliction. So Swift Affliction, even though it has 25% reduced duration, which is actually kind of like anti-synergy for the Toxic Rain, if you don't use this, mapping feels quite atrocious. Monsters take way too long to die. So you really want to use it Swift Affliction, and it doesn't affect your single target too much because we scale way too much skill effect duration anyway. So yeah, And then finally we have, of course, an Empower 4. It's like the best, and you can see our Toxic Rain is level 29. So, you know, it's pretty insane. And if you get +1 Chaos +1 Dex Amulet, which is around 10 exalts, you will have a level 30 Toxic Rain, which is kind of insane. Next up, we have the Ascendancy Chant. We have Culling Strike with Essence Drain. Now, a lot of people use Ball Lightning, but I don't like Ball Lightning. It's too much screen clutter. So I use Essence Drain. I mean, he's anomalous. You don't have to do this, but it's kind of funny. So it gives you regenerate like 0.10% of debuff damage as life. Now, you could just use a normal Essence Drain. It doesn't really matter, but yeah, I just did that. So as you can see, we shot an Essence Drain here. And if you use Dying Sun, it like spreads out. It makes it so culling bosses is actually really easy. So yeah. Next up we have Despair, and we don't use alternate quality because the default quality is insane. Cursed enemies take 10% increased damage. That's just like a, you know, 10. It's just a huge damage multiplier, like for free. So, and then finally we use Anomalous Steel Skin. Now Steel Skin is super good on this build, because we basically get it for 5 seconds, which is so insane for us. Because of the skill effect duration, it's just insane. So I really recommend that. And Anomalous allows it so that the buff takes increased amount of damage. So it's really, really good. So yeah, we have Portal Skull Gem in here. Now we have a 6-link Kintsugi. You really don't need a 6-link Kintsugi. You can ditch Enduring Cry. Like, I barely use it. But because we have so much quality on it, we can just like spam it really fast. It doesn't feel that bad. So we use a Divergent Smoke Mine. So Smoke Mine, first of all, lasts 15 to 16 seconds. I think it's 16 seconds, yeah. So 16 second Smoke Mine, which is insane. So Divergent gives increased attack and cast speed, and we have an enhance on this, so we get 22% attack and cast speed. This is like completely unbalanced. It's like a Blood Rage, so you have to use this. And it also gives you 30% move speed, which is just completely insane. Next we have Enhanced 4. This is important. You do need a 5-link Kintsugi. Make sure you do have a 5-link, because enhancing everything in here is very important. Then we have a 21-23 Blood Rage. It's just giving, it's 26% attack speed. So you're getting this, and you're getting the Divergent Smoke when you get 50% attack speed. It's so insane. Like, I don't know how this is a thing. And then, of course, we use Anomalous Enduring Cry because it has Warcry speed. And you can see we have 88%. And then it adds to the base, so it's 126% Warcry speed, which, as you can see, it's really not that bad to press for like some regen. It lasts like a little bit of time, and it's super good. Like, would recommend it. Next, we have Anomalous Withering Step. Now, this is super useful for if you don't want to use Wither Totems when there's some really annoying rare that won't die. So this makes it, the alternate quality makes it so that the inflicted Wither debuffs for first time is it more, so we're basically able to get like, I think it's 11 withered stacks. Yeah, inflicts 11 withered debuffs, which is insane. Like, it's a lot, and the maximum you can have in the game is 15. So you can imagine getting a monster this amount of withered that quickly is not okay. Like, they're gonna insta die with that. And then we got Second Wind, of course, to tie it all together, get all the cooldowns down, get everything feeling super smooth. And yeah, just a normal quality. And the alternate quality, it gives you like 1% life regen if you've used this supported skill recently, but it's up to you. And yeah, that's the gems in there. And finally, oh, not finally, but we have a gem set up in here. So we run a low level wither with high quality. So the reason we do this is because if we run a high level wither, it doesn't do anything. And not only that, it requires way too much intelligence for us to be able to fit onto the build. So I wouldn't recommend running a high level, but the quality is insane. It has a skill effect duration, and we're scaling a lot anyway. So it feels really, really good. Like, the monsters just have it lingering on them for ages. Then we have multiple totems and spell totem, you know, pretty standard. And then we have clarity level 1 because of the Watcher's Eye that we're running. It's very important that you run this. And then unless you don't have the Watcher's Eye, but you should really get the Watcher's Eye. It's not that expensive just for the one stat that you want on it. And then finally we have a Summon Skitterbots, Enlighten for Malevolence, and Fleshed Stone. Now, if you don't want to use Skitterbots, you don't like it, then you can use Aspect of the Spider instead somewhere else, and you should be able to fit everything in. But yeah, that is any... Oh, Anomalous Flesh and Stone I'll talk about quickly. Gives increased evasion rating and armor. Anomalous Malevolence gives increased skill effect duration. And Skitterbots, you want the, I think it's Divergent, the one that gives increased effect of non-damaging elements, because it increases chill and shock effect, and that's pretty useful. So yeah, guys, that is everything. Now we'll talk about the tree quickly. So Raider. I don't know, guys. Raider feels too good. And I don't know, I really feel they're gonna nerf it. But anyway, let's get into why. So we get permanent onslaught, then we get 100% increased onslaught effect, and then the 35% more chance to evade. This is so insane, guys. It takes us from like 50% evade chance to 100%, or 95, sorry, which is just so insane. I don't know. This node is not balanced. And then we have Course Infusion, which gives 15 attack and spell dodge, which is really nice, guys. Like, it's really, really nice. And permanent phasing. Phasing is so important for this build because it is damage over time at the end of the day. You're waiting for enemies to die while you run past them. It's got perfect synergy with what we're doing, and we don't have to use a Quartz Flask, which feels really bad sometimes if it's not up. And then Avatar of the Veil. Now, the only thing that I really care about on this node is that the immune to early ailments. If you don't care about immune to early ailments, you can go and take this Way of the Poacher maybe, so you get like frenzies in boss fight. But honestly, guys, this is just too good. Early ailment immunity is very underrated, I feel sometimes, and it's very important. And then don't disregard that nearby enemies have 20% less accuracy. That is also helping our evade cap even more. So yeah, all these things adding up is helping us cap evade chance. So just keep that in mind. It's quite important. So yeah, that's the thing here. Now frenzies is not ideal. Like it's just not good. I tried to scale it, and it actually doesn't turn out good on PoE. So I would recommend just taking this setup here. Okay, so let's start off with the beginning of the tree. We go and take some life evasion. This is super good and very high value. Then you want to go up and take Heart of Oak and Primal Spirit. Primal Spirit for the stats, and Heart of Oak for life and some regen. Then we go and we take Herbalism, of course. And then we go up and we take Master Fletcher for a bunch of attack speed. This is quite important. And then we have the Watcher's Eye over here, which gives non-channeling -10 and unaffected by poison, unaffected by malevolence. This is like a 2x duel. It would be even cheaper if you just went for clarity. So just keep that in mind. And you do want -10 if you can, or you divine it yourself. Then go to Acrobatics, Phase Acrobatics. Really good. And then we go and take this cluster. Now this cluster is really important. This cluster cost me 5 exalts, and there's one that costs more if you replace Unholy Grace with, I think it's Unspeakable Gifts, the one that gives Explodey. But it's only 10% chance to explode, which is like really trash, and I don't like it. And Unholy Grace gives attack speed, so it feels better. Now, if you can't afford this, then ditch Unholy Grace and just go for Misery Everlasting and Wicked Power and spend an extra point here to get to the medium cluster jewel. And yeah, Misery Everlasting gives skill effect duration, Despair Curse effect, which is really good. Then we get Wicked Power, which is just a well-known thing that even got nerfed this patch, but from like 10% to 5%. But we still stack it anyway because it's really good. Then we go and take a medium cluster. A medium cluster costs about 4 to 5 exalts. So if you can't afford this, then don't run a Bolt of Faith, run a Cinder Swallow, and use Eldritch Inspiration instead of Brush with Death, and Wicked Power. Wicked Power is the only thing that is like very essential. If you go for the second node being Eldritch Inspiration, then the cluster jewel is like 60C or something. And then you want to go and take a small cluster and take Surging Vitality or Fettle, depending on your preference. I do have Fettles in my stash, but I prefer Surging Vitality on this build because you don't have that much health regen because of Blood Rage, and this basically gives you that passive regen, and it synergizes really well with the build. The reason it synergizes really well with the build is because we don't get hit very much, and when we're not getting hit, we're getting free health regen, and it basically covers our whole HP bar. This regen with 2 of them feels really insane, and this cluster is exactly the same as that one. So, this is super good. And then we go here, we go up and take Hunter's Gambit for the skill effect duration and damage over time multiplier. And this node is giving useful stats on every single part of it, so it's just insane. And then we go and we take this evasion and life. We take the whole evasion wheel instead of taking this little life point to recap our evade chance. I did check on PoB, by the way. I'm not just saying, oh, take this to cap your evade, take that to cap your evade. It's exactly, you know, if you unspec this point and take this, you're at 94% a chance to evade. So then we take this because we are running out of mana with our skills that we reserve. So we take this and we don't anoint this because it's only 4 points, so we're already going here. And yeah, you can anoint if you want, ditch the growth and decay and anoint that and maybe spend the points somewhere else. Then we go up here, get some damage multi and chaos res. We go here and get atrophy with the skill effect duration and the blood siphon for life. And then we have this side of the tree. We take Wind Dancer, it synergizes really well with the build, and we take this to life really easily. And then we go here and take Avatar of the Hunt for the evasion and damage, and move speed as well. So if you guys guys didn't see the title, then it's you know, 300% move speed build, or like I think it's 275 or something, but I just rounded up to 300 because it sounds better and it's kind of close. So then we go and take a Replica Conqueror's Efficiency. Now you do want Corrupted Blood somewhere, guys, so I think this jewel costs 2 to 3x depending on whether you get it on here or the Thread of Hope, but both are going to be expensive, so just keep that in mind. Then we take this, we'll come back to the Thread of Hope. We go up here and take all the skill effect duration. Then we go to the Thread of Hope, and we take, this Thread of Hope is really, really nice. So it gives us Overcharge, Harrier, all the skill effect duration here, attack speed, and life. Like, it's such a good cluster jewel. Nope. The Thread of Hope is so good, guys. It's a very high value, very, very high value. And then finally we take the whole Constitution Wheel. So yeah, guys, that is the build finale. That is everything covered. So if you guys have any questions, leave it in the comments down below. I will be able to answer them. I know this build pretty damn well, and yeah, hopefully I'll be able to help you guys out. And maybe there's a question about using Conk Effect. Now you can try it, but your clear will feel pretty bad, so you can just use it as a gem swap for bosses. But honestly, you don't really need to. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and all that if you like these build guides and you want to see more of them. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.